Hi and welcome. I'm a FX Impact owner and I just want to share with you what I've learnt stripping this gun and looking for O-ring leaks, which is a nightmare. The gun's about 3 years old, so it's a Mark II, and it's excellent, as in it's very accurate. Can't really complain there. Release the air. I've already taken off the actual trigger guard. So mainly this video is sort of aimed at people who perhaps get frustrated by the number of leaks, because apparently it has about 30 O-rings and it's absolutely nightmare to try and find the leaks. So there's the bottle off, gauge down to 0. I'm also going to talk about the tools. Now, if you ever get one of these, or lucky enough to have one, you've got to make sure you use good tools. Don't use crap tools, junky tools. And what I mean is this type of thing. This is like an open-ended spanner, or adjustable one. Now, to give an example, not being a engineering background, I use this to take off my gauge. And what happens is, because you've only got 2 surface contacts and you unscrew this, as you unscrew it, it pops the glass off, or the plastic cover. So don't use these. Never any open-ended ones. Throw them away. It's crazy. Instead, I have a socket set. So this is an Impact one. The main reason, because it's 6-sided, it fits better than a standard socket set does. So I just have to put it on here. Now, if it's brand new gun or you haven't really taken anything apart, a lot of the fittings and that will be quite tight on there. So when I first got it, this is the way to do it, is to just put it over and you just give it a slight turn. So that's if it's quite new and it's sort of stuck on there. But most of the time I just release the air and it's just a case of putting it over top. It's a nice snug fit, and I'm bleeding the air out of the regulator. So that's it. And when it's done, I only like hand nip it, because there's an O-ring underneath here, one of many, and that's all you need to do. So that's the start. Now I'm going to talk about the leak detection liquids that's available. I've tried a few. And before I do that though, I'll talk about like cleaning the rifle. I found that I use a brake cleaner because it dries really quickly. So you spray it down with this, wash it off, and it completely dries clean. So it's a great way to clean your rifle when you take it apart. And then you just use air to blow it out to finish it off. Now, the detection liquids. I've used this one. This is refrigeration guys tend to use a lot and they say it's good. I've also used the CRC one. Not so good. I'll explain why and give you a demo shortly. And also Snoop. I find this one the best of the 3. Now I'm going to show you why. The first test will be the Be Sure micro leak detector. So I squirt it on. Now it creates some bubbles just by coming out. The second one will be the CRC. Now the trouble is using this one, it creates bubbles at the start. So if you've got a slow leak, you're not sure whether there's a leak there or not. And also, by the time it cleans up and sort of stops bubbling, it's dripping off the rifle and just about gone. So I don't tend to like this one as such. Snoop's really good because you just put a little bit on and it doesn't bubble. You see that? It's clear until the air is leaking. So out of the three, I tend to use the Snoop. Now I'm going to talk about the type of leaks. So in the first instance, I'll talk about a tank leak. So from this part sort of onwards, and then I'll talk about the regulator leaking in the second part. So talking about two different types of leaks here. I'll refer to a chart and then I can refer back to the gun. So an idea would be to go to Captain O-Ring's site and you can get these great charts. And the idea is to, when you print it out so the line equals an inch, and that's then drawn to scale. And you can actually drop up an O-ring and see what it looks like, and if it's the right size or not. So I'm going to start off with the bottle, which is here. Now, unfortunately, this page doesn't show you these particular rings, two O-rings, and they're particular, very special. There's one here, and there's one here, and both of these are the same. And I'm going to show you where they are on the gun. So this is the bottle filler. So this is the bottle filler here, where the bottle connects to. And this is a special type of metal O-ring. So it's got a little metal washer around it with a rubber insert. There's one here, and there's also one here. So you got two, exactly the same. So that's an area to look for. And this is what it looks like. So it's a flat bit of steel with this sort of rubber insert. So that's the style that you'd be pulling out. Now when you take this out, it's going to be quite difficult. Again, I use a special socket and a hexagonal one, and this is going to be tight because it's Loctite in. So I put it over, and it's the best fit that I can find, a snug fit. Now you will need to put a fair bit of force, lock it in the vise, take the gauge off, and I actually use a tool like this to put it in here and put it in the vise and crack that and take it off. Now I've got to warn you, it's going to be tight, and you need to take it off. A good reason. Let me show you first. In the page, there are two little tiny O-rings which you've got to replace them. And one of them's here, which is labelled M, so it's very small. I think this is 2.2 by 1. And there's another one, I think it's that one there, which goes on these particular brass screws. So they're both the same, and they need to be replaced. So if you replace these two, replace these ones. You might as well. Okay, and that one is, I'll show it to you. It's tucked away here, where the tip of my pen is. So in there is that little brass screw. Now it's a simple one. It's not hard to take out. I've never taken mine out before. Remember, this rifle's 3 years old, and I just used actually a ball one was fine because it wasn't tight. Now the other one, which is tucked around here. Now that's in just here, and that one was easy to take out too. Now this is the first time I had one of these leak on me, so I'm going to show the top right hand photograph. of what a leaks look like using the snoop. So that was quite obvious, that one. It's good to catch that one. Okay, the next part is the quick connect. Now, the quick connect has two O-rings. One is this one here, which is F, and one which is T on here. So they're very small. One's sort of chunky and the other one's a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to take the quick coupling off and tell you about my experiences with this particular part. So again, you want to use good quality tools, and you don't have to go berserk tightening these on either, and I'll show you why. Now this seems to be made of some sort of plain steel. So that's what it looks like. Now, carefully remove the little piston, the plunger inside. Now, what happened was, when I tested it with several of these leak detecting liquids, the water or the liquid would go down and inside the shaft, and it would start to rust this. So you really got to be careful of what you use. And if you do the leak test, you've got to pull it out and clean it all up. I had this actually polished because I thought this is one of my big leaks. And of course, that's the little O-ring that you want to clean. So, so that's that one. And I'll show you. There's that one there. Tiny one. So it's not too hard to pull out either. Very easy. And you just screw it back in. And you don't have to go berserk, because remember, the O-ring's doing the work. Just nip it, that's all I do. So that's that one there. So we're still on a tank leak, and we'll continue.